We went to Kugluktuk on the Arctic coast and spent 3 months there doing language study with the Reverend Peter Bishop, who is since deceased through a tragic road accident. And then we went up to a place called Holman, now Ulahattuk, on Victoria Island, population of 250. Peter came with us, spent 3 days with us. We watched that twin otter take off. And guess what? We looked at each other and we said, what have we done? That was it. We had to learn a new language. We had to get to know the culture, the people. I tell you, it was amazing. But I began, over this time, I looked back on my life. And I looked at some of the people who'd been very influential, even though I didn't know it at the time. And though I had 3 different probation officers, and 2 of them I discovered were very committed Christians, even though I didn't know it at the time. And of course, they couldn't, they couldn't evangelize me as a young boy, but there was always something about their lives that spoke to me. Even though I was rebellious and angry, immature, they never gave up on me. One of them was a Methodist lay preacher. Later on, by this time I was an Anglican minister. And for some reason, I was visiting my parents in my hometown. And on the street, I was going to the Methodist church where I became a Christian, where I was converted. And the Salvation Army were playing their instruments before they marched to the Citadel. And I looked and I thought, I know that person. I know that person. That's Mr. Jordan, who was my probation officer. When they'd finished playing, and as they were moving around the people who were listening to them, I went up to him and I said, excuse me, are you Mr. Jordan? And he looked at me and he said, you're Geoffrey. He said, bear in mind, this was many, many years. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, Mr. Jordan, I'm an Anglican minister. And he looked at me and he said, Geoffrey, my wife and I, we had no idea where you were, what you were doing, but we knew that we had to pray for you. And he said, we have prayed for you all these years. This was, John, I had tears in my eyes. I wept. That was amazing. And he told me that Mr. Heptonstall, a Methodist lay preacher, had also been praying for me. And then I found out that the first probation officer I ever had was also a Christian. This was amazing, John. Amazing. So yeah, here I am, soon to be 78 years of age, still involved in the Diocese of the Arctic. We did serve for 4 years, 4 years in the Calgary Diocese. I'd had to deal with so many suicides in one northern community that I knew I needed to leave for a while. We left for 4 years and we returned. We did return north, and we spent several years working with the late Bishop Terry Buckle, who was a wonderful man of God. We first met Bishop Terry when he was in the Arctic Diocese. I tell you, God's hand has always been upon us. I have been blessed to have I am blessed to have a beautiful Christian wife, Rosalind, who's been my partner in ministry. I tell people the reason I married her, first, she could do secretarial work. Third, she was a gifted musician. And third, because I loved her. She prefers it the other way round. But we've never had children. We've always been a team ministry. A team ministry. At one Arctic community that we were in, at Klavik in the Mackenzie Delta, a 20-minute flight from Inuvik. We were there for 3 years, and Bishop Sperry asked us if we would return to the Arctic coast because we knew the culture, knew the people. And the fellow who replaced me, solid, lovely Christian couple, and they had 3 or 4 children. The people would say to him, well, Rosalind used to do this. And Tim would say, yes, but Rosalind and Geoffrey didn't have children. Mm. So, you know, it wasn't always easy for people following us because we worked together as a team. But yeah, you know, that's, I mean, I've gone on for a long time. It's an abbreviated story. A lot of detail I've left out. But I tell you that we retired, but we didn't really retire. We just retreaded, a redirection. We spent 6 years going to Uganda, establishing a Christian discipleship course with African Community Technical Services. We'd go for 2 or 3 months a year, pioneering this discipleship program. That again was God's hand was upon our life together. We had to raise money to go to Uganda. I was able to use my skills as a painter and decorator. God used that. So I'd paint people's houses to raise the money to go to Uganda, as well as asking friends to support us. And so, yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And we just rejoice in what God has been able to do in and through our lives, with all our imperfections. And I never forget that I'm a sinner saved by grace, and I am so deeply indebted to the Lord Jesus dying on the cross for me.